What's up, y'all? This is your girl, Megan. Welcome back to the HoodAstroQ to all of my returning subscribers. However, if this is your first time joining me on today, welcome, okay? It is here that we use knowledge from celestial bodies to help us gain a better understanding of our favorite celebs, world events, and most importantly, our damn selves, okay? So hit that subscribe button, thumbs up the video, and of course, don't be afraid to click the notification bell so that way you will be alerted whenever I slide through and make a post. Also, if you are interested in booking your very own natal chart reading, feel free to contact me at astrowerld, astrowerld @gmail.com, and we can go ahead and get you squared away on today. So as you can see today, I will be doing a natal chart reading on TashaK. So she's a pretty popular blogger, celebrity blogger, YouTuber. I'm pretty sure the majority of you guys understand who she is and understand the type of controversy that she tends to find herself in, okay? More recently, she's gotten a lot of backlash following her interview with Jaguar Wright. Okay, Jaguar Wright is a neo-soul singer from the early thousands, late 90s, who has been doing interviews with Tasha's mentee, Storm Monroe. And people thought that that was very odd, considering in the past, she has spoken out against angling videos or angling interviews off of other people's content, right? Going back and interviewing the same people or trying to spin stories with their own specific angle, but she's doing the same thing now. In addition to people being put off by her actual interview style. So the interview that she did with Jaguar Wright, people felt like it was condescending and that she clearly had some type of vested interest in making the woman look a certain way. And it also didn't help that Tasha came out and revealed that she has some kind of conflict of interest in terms of her being friends with either Swiss Beats' mother or Alicia Keys or someone in that family, right? So not a good look on her part. And I will also disclose, I don't really have a vested interest one way or the other. Okay, I do find TashaK to be entertaining at times. So I have watched her channel before. But on the other hand, I'm not really that deeply invested in her, just as a content creator. I'm not a wino. I really don't care. But I do have my observations that I've made. And upon looking at her natal chart, I just thought that there were some very interesting things that could be unpacked. Okay. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and hop right on into it. Now, TashaK was born March 10th, 1982 in Panama City, Florida. Y'all feel free to fact check me. I believe it was Panama City, Florida. I do know she's from Florida, so that's pretty close within the ballpark, okay? And of course, we don't know her time of birth. However, we can deduce that she is a Pisces Sun. And I thought that that was very interesting because Pisces is one of those signs that is known for scandal. Quite literally, scandal. A lot of Pisces individuals are subject to slander. They are subject to situations where they find themselves in the middle of, once again, either some type of huge conflict or some type of huge scandal that comes to the forefront. Controversy, but they can also be very messy. Your dark-sided Pisces individual can be extremely messy, extremely gossipy, which is right on brand with her being a celebrity blogger. And with her having her sun in Pisces, the sun is often associated with celebrity, right? Celebrity status, celebrity figures. So you can even look at this as her claim to fame, her being known as this expose, slanderous, borderline slanderous, gossipy style celebrity blogger. Now, a lot of Pisces, dark-sided ones specifically, and I do feel like Tasha is she kind of bounces back and forth between the dark-sided Pisces versus the lighter side Pisces energy, but a lot of the dark-sided traits that she exudes that falls right in line with dark-sided Pisces energy is the tendency to either full out just lie or grossly exaggerate certain things, right? And this has been a lot of what she receives a lot of backlash about in the past as well, because there will be stories and exclusives, right, quote unquote, that she would leak or information that she would present to the public that either turns out to not be true or a lot of people contested, and there's just always lots of chaos and confusion around it, which is also very much congruent with that Pisces energy. Confusion, chaos, right? People not really knowing what's going on. Lots of smoke and mirrors. This is also reinforced with her sun squaring her Neptune in Sagittarius. There is a tendency to overblow and overhype situations. So she does strike me with this aspect as the type of person who could exaggerate about a lot of different things. Or there will be a grain of truth in what she says, but by the time she's done inflating it, once again, it's hard to really understand where the truth begins and where the lie ends, and vice versa. These people can also be extremely insecure. And this is also reinforced by the fact that she is a Pisces sun, but is forming an opposition to her Virgo moon. So I always talk about sun in opposition to the moon, creating a person who could just naturally be very off kilter or imbalanced. These are naturally people who could be concerned with what other people are doing. They may often find themselves at odds with other people, constantly having to defend themselves from other people. But, with that Pisces and Virgo energy, a lot of times it's predicated upon, once again, insecurities. I think TashaK is naturally a person who, despite what she may show on the surface, has some very deeply rooted self-inadequacy problems. I also feel like she could have a lot of narcissistic qualities, because that is another manifestation of that Pisces sun squaring Neptune. It also gives her like a godlike complex, right? With that Neptune and Sagittarius. But even with her opposition between her Pisces sun and Virgo moon, it could just point to where she projects, or she tends to, I guess you could say, cast a lot of illusion and fakery around who she is as a person, right? To cover up for those insecurities. Like, almost like she's not who she portrays herself to be up front. A lot of sun opposition moon people have a problem with their own sense of identity, right? Where they feel like they have to teeter back and forth. And it's so interesting because another person who most people know, who has this same type of hookup, that same aspect, sun in opposition to the moon, and they portray a lot of the same qualities, is her arch nemesis, Cardi B. Now, Cardi B is a Libra sun, but her sun is in opposition to her Aries moon, and she has very similar qualities, which is why I've heard a lot of people draw actually like comparisons between both TashaK and Cardi B, and that is so interesting to me. Now, Tasha's sun in opposition to the Virgo moon could also deal with her being unstable herself. Okay, her having a lot of mental health issues herself, which is very ironic because a lot of people were upset at the fact that during the interview with Jaguar Wright, she was, really placating to the fact that Jaguar was mentally unwell. But TashaK herself could very much be mentally unwell. Okay. This could also even point towards a person who is always pointing the finger at other people, who lacks a certain level of accountability, and where she tends to externalize a lot of the internal conflict that she feels within herself. And although as a Pisces, and just to give her credit, right? Nobody is completely bad. Nobody is completely good. So to her credit as a Pisces, she is a person who is just naturally predisposed towards having a very soft and compassionate type of spirit. These people, they can be that, right? They could even borderline just being very selfless and having a very strong martyrdom type of streak about themselves. Although with her, once again, sun in opposition to that Virgo moon, it points towards where a lot of times she'll pose as this like selfless, charitable person, but she'll do it in order to leverage control over people and situations. Almost like the saying where it's like, oh, keep your friends close, but your enemies closer, right? This is a person who is really good with being phony. They can fake the funk. They're really good at even like exuding that charitable nature. They may even have, once again, a genuine charitable streak, but underneath that, there is a desire to control the outcome, if that makes sense. So a lot of people even reference the relationships that she's had with other people, like friendships, which, by the way, sun opposing moon individuals do have a difficult time having long lasting relationships with other people as well. Okay, so I just thought I should put that out there. But a lot of people say like TashaK is only in relationships with other people for self gain, and I think that there could be something to that. So by way of this aspect and some other placements that we'll get to unpack momentarily. All right. But once again, on a more positive note, I will say her sun is actually forming a sextile to her Chiron at the 18th degree of Taurus, which deals with her being the type of person who could really manifest a lot of money. Okay, so I feel like more than one thing can be true at once. And TashaK, with this aspect, could definitely be a person who knows how to make a coin. It could even deal with where what she does, right? Her being a celebrity blogger and this kind of like expose kind of niche that she's carved out for herself, being extremely profitable. Her Venus is actually at the 5th degree of Aquarius, forming a sextile to her Uranus, which is also a very financially profitable aspect to have, to where she can almost be like a magnet, like a manifestation magnet for anything that she wants. It also points towards her large following on social media and her just being a social media influencer. Okay, her having a huge following, her having this really large online presence. So once again, no person is ever completely bad or completely good. It's just, it is what it is. And I will also be fair in saying that she does have a lot of really favorable aspects that support, once again, her being a really good, like a person who really understands the concept of manifestation. Even with that Pisces energy, Pisces is one of the signs of manifestation, but the downside to that is that their karma tends to come very quickly. Okay, they're one of the signs of karma, right along with Capricorn. And TashaK is also a Capricorn South Node. So these are people, whenever they do wrong, okay, they run the risk of being exposed. They run the risk of having their karma placed on Front Street, especially as a Pisces, and having that Sun square Neptune and Sun in opposition to the moon, right? Which, it is what it is. Like, so the evidence speaks for itself. Anytime TashaK wrongs other people or puts herself in a situation, she's going to receive a lot of public blowback from it. Which is, if you ask me, where she messed up with the Jaguar riot situation. Now, also that Sun in opposition to the moon could deal with her having autoimmune issues. Perhaps she could have children with health issues. And then it could also point towards her having problems with her personal hygiene as well. Now, I also would like to state that a lot of the things that I speak, I'm just going to say allegedly, just to keep the peace in these streets. But do what you will with that information. I'm just speaking to the potential outcomes of these aspects, okay? This could also deal with a person who could have addiction problems. And specifically with that Virgo moon in opposition to her Pisces sun. I see this in the charts of a lot of pill poppers, okay? Allegedly. Yeah, like once again, allegedly. This is just a probable outcome, like, or a plausible potential outcome of this configuration. But these people can have really bad addiction problems, even with her being known as like the wino, right? Her incorporating alcohol into her brand. There could be a possibility that perhaps she goes overboard with that. Maybe she's a drunk. I don't know. But she has a lot of, addictive aspects and tendencies in her chart. So, and that's also reinforced with Sun square Neptune. A lot of these people can be major drug addicts, or they could just have really addictive kind of personalities, if that makes sense. Now, I also get the vibes that with her sun in opposition to that Virgo moon, that she could also be the type to have a lot of issues with employees, which is also very interesting because last night she went live with her team. You know, she loves saying, my team, my team. And I mean, I don't know. Maybe they do have a really good relationship, but this aspect can point towards a person who is exposed by employees. But this could also point towards a person who can be very fake and phony as well, where they can have some very sleazy and greasy ways about the way in which they manage their own staff and employees. So that's something there. Now, it could also point towards where her husband actually works for her, which is something that I think most people know. But I would sincerely question his role within that dynamic, okay? Because I've seen this manifest a person whose partner is more or less of a moocher. Now, I'm not saying, I don't know the man. I don't know what he's done prior to TashaK. For all we know, he could have had his own stuff. And I think he's an African. So most Africans tend to be on their shit. You know, it just is what it is. Most Africans tend to have something going for themselves. But to take it back to even the Tamar Braxton and Dave, I think that was her boyfriend's name, situation where, okay, yeah, he had a profitable business. He was doing A, B, C, and D. So we're not going to necessarily call the man broke, but there was some there in terms of him being a mooch when it came to Tamar, or him being a person who would always put himself in a position where he was, you know, gaining something from the relationship. And I feel like TashaK could either be like that and approach her relationships like that, especially as a Capricorn South Node, or her husband could be like that. And that's also reinforced with her Sun square Neptune. Now, her Venus in Aquarius is squaring her Jupiter in Scorpio, which is a very, very interesting aspect because this could deal with the person who hides their sexuality or their partner's sexuality. Okay. And I know a lot of people, it's like a rumor that TashaK is a carpet muncher. So I just thought that was very interesting. And that Venus in Aquarius in and of itself can breed a tendency to be attracted to the same sex, right? And so if it's not for you, this could also even deal with a person who can attract partners who resonate on that queer energy. And I've also heard rumors about her husband being queer as well. So with this aspect, there is some there. Who it is, I'm not sure. To what extent, I don't know. But I just thought that was very interesting as well. It could also point towards there being a lot of, issues in terms of jealousy, right? Especially when it comes to her friendships or other women, where a lot of her insecurities could trigger jealousy. And that's also reinforced with her Virgo moon forming a semi-square to this Jupiter in Scorpio. It could also deal with her always trying to psychoanalyze people, which is something that she did within that interview with Jaguar Wright. Okay, where she's always trying to probe people, interrogate people, get the scoop and get the tea. And that's where she gets all of her like exclusives, right? That Jupiter in Scorpio is really big on research, investigation, right? I'm gonna go deep. Even, people who like to dive head first into taboo topics like rape and trauma and sexual abuse and all that other stuff. That's very Jupiter Scorpio energy. And then with that semi-square to her Virgo moon, a lot of times there is some level of, once again, being insecure that is tied up into that, right? Where she tends to weaponize this against other people. But it could also make her extremely, or somebody who has a lot of paranoia, you know what I mean? Where she overthinks things, overthinks encounters, and so on and so forth. Now, this could also point towards the really bad relationship that she has with her mother, or the very contentious relationship that she's had with her mother in the past, especially with the abuse angle. And that's reinforced with that Virgo moon and semi-square to her Jupiter in Scorpio as well. And then finally, I want to get to the nuts and the bolts of the whole situation. So in the grand scheme of things, right, I think that TashaK is acting out on her Capricorn South Node. And the very important thing to keep in mind when we're talking about lunar nodal placements, they're the most important part of the chart because they explain the why. They explain your entire purpose in this particular reincarnation. And a lot of us, even though we can make significant strides towards our North Node, which are qualities and traits and patterns that we're supposed to develop, that tend to take us outside of our comfort zone, we never completely ever remove ourselves from our South Node tendencies. And so for most people, we tend to kind of teeter back and forth, bounce back and forth between the two. And for TashaK, from what I've seen from her, she does resonate a lot within that Capricorn South Node energy. Okay. A lot of Capricorn South Nodes are very ambitious people, very career-oriented people. So once again, that is a positive in a way that she has going for her, because it's allowed her to achieve what she has. These people are very fixated upon their destinies, their legacies, their careers, and all that good stuff. However, they run the risk of being too attached to this part of their lives. So you will see a lot of Capricorn South Node women, especially, be the type of women who are married to their careers, who are always trying to figure out a way to come up, right? A way that they can take things to the next level. I'm trying to secure my spot at the top of the food chain. I am a force to be reckoned with. But their personal life could be a hot fucking mess. A really good example of this is Wendy Williams. She's a Capricorn South Node as well. Okay, so is Beyonce. So you see the similarities there. These are women who may even be very reputable in what they do, but on a personal level, they can be miserable as hell. Their family lives, their marriages often come with many challenges. A lot of these people can have very fucked up personal lives and very fucked up relationships with their mothers as well. Which, I mean, most people wouldn't know that about Beyonce up front, but we ain't even, hey, different video for a different day. We'll get into that at a different day, in a different time. These are also people who are willing to do whatever it takes to get to the top, right? So even in TashaK's instance, her always being worried about having that next interview, right? That big exclusive, things that could drive her to do things that could, essentially even sever her ties with people, her relationships with people, which is also reinforced with her Mars conjunct Saturn in Libra squaring this Capricorn South Node, to where she has no problem throwing people under the bus, completely turning her back or burning bridges on relationships and doing things to kind of spite other people, if that means she could position herself in a situation where she comes out on top, right? At the end of the day, it's all about that leverage. It's all about that success factor and what can I achieve? For these people, this is power. Capricorn South Nodes can also be really big sellouts. And it is a saying that everybody has a price, right? We all have a price. It just depends on what the situation is, and you would do this too. But let's be real. Some people are more likely to be bought and paid for than others. And Capricorn, because of that just relentless desire to get to the top, right? And these people, if they're really dark-sided, can be really ruthless, very cold, very, just completely, just no hold bars. And they can be the type of people to cut deals with the devil in order to get what they want. Even the saying that I sold my soul to the devil, that's very Capricorn South Node. And it's no, mistake, no coincidence that in tarot, Capricorn is the devil card. So I also thought that was interesting, given the fact that a lot of people speculated that TashaK was doing a hit job on like a quote unquote journalistic, I'm using that word very loosely, hit job on what the lady name is, Jaguar Wright. This could also even point towards her having the tendency to be very cruel. A lot of Capricorn South Nodes can even take pleasure in another person's pain and downfall. And a lot of times they have a difficult time showing emotion. And what they'll do is they'll tell themselves things like, only the strong survive, right? They pride themselves on their own personal strength, and they'll beat other people over the head with that. So they don't do a good job when it comes to showing lots of sympathy and empathy for other people who appear to be suffering. In fact, they could secretly take pleasure in it at times. They'll never admit it outright, but That's very Capricorn South Node behavior. Something else that's very Capricorn South Node is the tendency to be very pessimistic. Okay, they can also be very negative, which is what a lot of people observed in the interview that TashaK did with Jaguar. But they often pride themselves on being realists. And that's a word that I have verbatim heard TashaK use several times. I'm a realist. I'm a realist. That's very Capricorn South Node. And it could cause them to exude this kind of hater energy, right? And it may not be hating, or it may be, I mean, for lack of a better way to really describe it, but even taking it back to the Wendy Williams, yes, she's doing her job, right? Once again, these super career people, they can also be extremely exploitive. So can TashaK, where it's just like, look, I'm just all about the story. I'm all about my business. But even the way in which Wendy Williams delivers things, a lot of people accuse her of being like a hater or just being very negative, like a negative Nancy towards people. Capricorn South Nodes also do their best when it comes to trying to detect weakness in others. And this is also tied to the fact that they just really deplore weak people. They don't like weak people. In that same vein of exploitation, if they see a weakness in a person, if it benefits them, they will take advantage of it. Okay, and that also brings me to the interview that she did with the girl from the Bad Girls Club, right? The Brandy girl, and she got a lot of flack for that because the girl was supposedly about to commit suicide, but then people are seeing that TashaK sent the wrong address out or was using a fake address and was putting the girl's address on the internet. It was just a lot of drama, right? But based on this placement, like, I would not be surprised. I would never go to TashaK with any type of personal or emotional issue or any type of personal vulnerability. I would never confess any of my personal issues with TashaK, which, once again, when we're talking about exploitation in that Capricorn South Node, these people are also very opportunistic. And with her Mars and Saturn squaring that South Node, like I said, I mean, if you are expendable, she will throw your ass to the wayside. And I just find that interesting too, because she also has a reputation for not being able to, once again, keep friends. She'll be the type of person who will record phone conversations and keep receipts on people and anything that could tie back into pumping up and boosting her business, right? And I've even heard her say that in the past, like, it's just business, it's business, it's business. Very Capricorn South Node. These are also people who can be extremely controlling, which is another reason why I would not necessarily trust TashaK on a personal level. Sure, she's entertaining. Once again, just as a viewer, I can see why people would come to her channel, especially with her sun squaring at Neptune and Sagittarius, that larger than life kind of persona, even her, that narcissism streak that she has with that aspect where she just, is almost self-aggrandizing. Oh, I do this and I do that and I'm a TashaK and I have a team, my team, your team. And then, just going over beyond, just over the top, especially even with the stories that she does with people, where it's not like necessarily fact-based, right? I wouldn't go to her for like expecting any type of journalistic integrity or any type of factual information, but that energy can be fun to watch. But taking it back to that Capricorn South Node, you also have to understand that she is very intentional. She's very calculative in what she does, what she says, what she allows you to see, what she doesn't, right? And it all ties back to protecting her business and also even her reputation. And despite what she would like for you to think, once again, I do think she cares a lot about her view and how she is being viewed in the court of public opinion. Now, these are also people who could have incredibly low self-esteem, as I stated before, but do a really good job at projecting it. And it could also be another reason why a lot of Capricorn South Nodes seek positions of power and status and fame in some instances, is because in a weird way, it kind of allows them to restore a certain level of balance, especially if these are people who could have been wronged in the earlier parts of their lives, or people who could have been outcasts or loners. That's also very Capricorn South Node. A lot of these people have been isolated. Maybe they were the lone wolves, lone or black sheeps in the early parts of their lives. So they feel very empowered when they obtain certain positions. Capricorn wants to be at the top of the hierarchy. Kind of similar to that Leo energy, which is also why she and Lovely T, I could see where their fallout was just kind of inevitable, but that's also a different video for a different day. These are also people who could be very depressed. They could suffer from depression because, once again, they have a lot of karmic induced struggles. These are people who could come from very, very challenging backgrounds. And, if they're really dark sided, they'll just be miserable and project that misery onto other people. They could also be bitter and people who just kind of have a chip on their shoulders. And once again, I think TashaK, if you really pay attention, you can kind of see that in her. These people also tend to have issues with receiving recognition or the respect and recognition that they feel that they deserve. I also feel like this could create a person who tends to resent celebrities and people in power because, once again, they want to be in that position of power. I also thought that having her Mars and Saturn and Libra squaring that Capricorn South Node was very interesting because it could even point to where her own relationship, her own marriage could be built off of opportunism. So tying it back into what I was saying initially, either she could have approached her relationship with old dude from that standpoint, or he could approach the relationship with her in that same fashion. These are people who can have very arrangement style marriages, very transactional type of unions with their partners. This could also create, from a health standpoint, deficiencies and issues with reproductive organs, which brings me to her Cancer North Node. So, as a Cancer North Node, in this lifetime, TashaK has a karmic responsibility to learn how to be a lot more personable when it comes to other people, a lot more sensitive and caring, and getting comfortable and in tune with her own emotions, okay? Because when she's able to do that, she'll be able to be a lot more receptive to other people and their emotions and to be a lot more nurturing. So these are people who need to learn how to be a lot more nurturing and who need to learn how to do a better job of trusting other people, which is why motherhood tends to be a really big highlight in these people's lives. And so in terms of achieving that Cancer North Node, even with her having her second, I think she has 2 children, TashaK is definitely, fulfilled that to a degree, right? But there could be many challenges and struggles that come along with motherhood, or many challenges and struggles that could even come along with carrying a child. So a lot of Cancer North Nodes have issues with fertility, or they could have issues with carrying a baby to term, like full term. So it's not uncommon for these women to have many miscarriages, which I do believe TashaK has had a miscarriage before. These women tend to have at least one of them. And a really good example, another really good example of this, once again, is Beyonce. Beyonce has been very public about her miscarriage. And Wendy Williams, I mean, she had about like 15 of them things before she was able to have Kevin Hunter Jr. And that also kind of contributes to why she's so fucked up in the head. But once again, different story for a different day. I digress. But you see the pattern here, right? That Cancer North Node creates a lot of challenges with creating that secure home life, that family life, being that mother, that nurturer. They're supposed to be that in this lifetime, but they can have many challenges and obstacles and setbacks that can deter them from that along the way, okay? In this life, she also needs to learn how to be more trusting, as I said before, of other people, which is another reason why TashaK acts the way that she does, right? That Capricorn South Node can make her very skeptical. And it could also cause her to pride herself on, once again, being the outsider, the lone wolf. As a Cancer North Node, friendships with women in this life will also be very challenging, but it's going to be needed for her growth and development, especially in order to really properly reconcile the issues that come from a severed or estranged, I can't speak, relationship with the mother, okay? These are women who are supposed to get in touch with their feminine side, the divine femininity in this lifetime, which I believe I could see Tasha kind of trying to experiment with that along the way. Especially now that she playing with the little hair on top of her head, right? She doing the makeup. She adding the little twisties or whatever the case may be. She said she didn't start wearing makeup till she was like 33. That's very much consistent with this energy of like later on in life trying to get in tune with that divine feminine energy. There could also be a lot of karma involving the home and a person's domestic situation, which is also very interesting because a lot of people have observed the fact that TashaK has relocated. She's moved multiple times. And especially with her Uranus forming a sesqui square to her north node, this could deal with a person who has to suddenly relocate, or where there could be issues with like either the homeowner association, or where things at home could just quickly fall apart, right? But this could also even deal with where there could be some shocking things revealed about her private and her personal life in the future. So, I mean, I wouldn't rule that out either. And in this lifetime, she also needs to be someone who seeks personal fulfillment over status, right? Or over doing like the number chasing thing. Oh, I'm gonna get the number one exclusive. Whenever she reports on stories that are close to her heart and she's doing things, you know, that are just, once again, very emotionally fulfilling, or even when you can tell when she's fighting on the behalf of women, right? That's that very, very much Cancer energy. She's received a lot differently. And one aspect that she does have in her favor going for her that can help her develop this, you know, North Node energy is her Pisces Sun. So once again, depending on how she uses it, because her Sun is trining that North Node. So if she really uses it to her advantage, she could, you know, start doing things where she's a lot more charitable with women, you know, opening up charities and donating and doing this and doing that, and, you know, being creative in how she can appeal and appease to women. I think that would be really cool. Or like, even when it comes to like people within her own race with that Cancer energy, how she can help Black people and all this other stuff. Which, I mean, I've seen sudden like bursts and sparks here and there of her, you know, exuding this energy. She has the potential, but for the most part, if you ask me, she's definitely firmly planted in that Capricorn South Node behavior. And then finally, with her Mars and Saturn forming a quincunx to her Chiron at that 18th degree of Taurus. Mind you, the number 18 is very materialistic, hyper materialistic, okay? This aspect can actually create money problems. And so remember, like I was saying, more than one thing can be true at once. I do think TashaK makes a lot of money, or she has been in a position where she can create a lot of income and revenue for herself. But I also foresee her having a lot of money issues, a lot of money troubles as well. So this aspect could point towards a person, even where like legal issues could be financially taxing for them, which, you know, a la the Cardi B case. A lot of people were wondering how she could afford the lawyer and A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And these are also people who really need to stay on their tippy toes, especially given that she has a yod, and that yod is including that Mars and Saturn in Libra on the apex point, but they're forming a quincunx to her Chiron and Taurus and her Pisces Sun. And this could deal with a person who constantly needs to like look over their shoulder and make sure they're on point, because they could be prone to like either financial attacks from enemies, or situations where maybe they're sued or exposed, or she could be involved in a scandal that could in the process impact her money and her ability to make money. Her Mars and Saturn forming a quincunx to that Pisces Sun could also deal with where she's making things seem like she's doing better than what she is. I've also seen this manifest in a person who shoulders a lot of the responsibility in their relationship. This also reinforces her being very sensitive and caring a lot what people think about her. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it's nights where she log off and go cry in the bed. Like, I just wouldn't, okay? This could also even deal with her being very methodical and strategic in terms of how she chooses to get close to people. So like getting close to people to collect valuable intel or information only to expose it later. And then also, I wouldn't be surprised with that Yah as well, or Mars and Saturn forming a quincunx to Chiron and Taurus, where she could be taking money under the table from somewhere also. Because, you know, that Chiron theme could point towards illegitimacy, right? So, you know, even just this idea of her being bought off or paid under the table or whatever. I mean, that's all of that is very plausible. So, to avoid making this video any longer, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here. So that concludes my reading on Miss Tasha K. Y'all drop down in the comment section. Let me know what you think about her placements. What do you think about her natal chart? What do you think about her? Okay. And this whole situation that is unfolding before our eyes. So make sure you practice unconditional self-love so that you can love others. And until the next video, I holla.